Hey everybody, I'm back and it's time to talk about new releases that have just come out or are coming out very soon that I am sure you're going to want on your TBR. So let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you all doing today? As always, I hope you're happy, I hope you're healthy, I hope you're safe, and I hope you're reading an amazing book or two or three or four. I have been busy. As I said in my last videos, I have started a new job full of wonderful people, but a lot of learning, a lot of late nights, and a lot of stuff to do. So I have been away from the bookish world a little bit, reading, but not doing so many videos. But I am back today with a stack of books that I cannot wait to tell you all about. So as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please get these books from your local independent bookstore or have your library get you a copy as soon as possible. Okay, so let's get started with the smallest of them all, but that doesn't mean anything, right? Small books can hold quite a punch. And that's The Three of Us by Agbaje-Williams. This is out from Putnam. This book, so I've started this one, I have to say, because the premise is just right up my alley. So we have three characters, the husband, the wife, and the best friend. The best friend's name is Temi, and she comes over one night to have drinks and dinner with the wife, and they're sort of talking to each other, sort of talking about the husband, doing all that stuff best friends do, when the husband comes home. And all of the sudden, a secret or secrets start to sort of be laid out on the table, and it starts this fight for supremacy in the life of the wife between the husband and the best friend, and things just go from there. That sounds so good, right? So that's The Three of Us by Agbaje-Williams, and this is out from Putnam. And I apologize if I said that name incorrectly. I tried to practice a lot before I started this video, but definitely pick that one up if you're looking. That seems like something to read right at the pool, just something really fun and exciting. You'll fly through it. Another book that I have started already, actually I started it this morning, is Little Monsters by Adrienne Brodeur, and this is out from Avid Reader Press. This is a family story, as there's a lot of family stories, by the way, in the stack that we're going to talk about today. There's three main characters, really. There's a brother and sister, Ken and Abby. Their mother died when they were young. They were raised by their father, Adam. Adam is a very famous oceanographer. But we sort of start the book with Adam dealing with the fact that he has controlled his bipolar disorder for many years via medication, but he wants to make that last big discovery before he turns 70. He's about to turn 70. So he's decided to go off of his medication. And so he is dealing with that, sort of withdrawing from the world in order to dive into the science that has been his life for so long. The brother and sister have had a very complicated relationship their entire life. Their lives have been very intertwined. But as an adult, I believe he's a businessman of some sort. He wants to be sort of like a politician and has aspirations of that and the perfect family. And then the sister has become an artist, but she relies very heavily on the brother because he owns the building she does her art in and all of that. They have decided to come together for their father's birthday, trying to figure out what the perfect gift will be. And they sort of are trying to figure out who can out-gift the other. Does that make sense? But in the same time that they're figuring that out, Adam is going through what he's going through off of his medication as he tries to make this discovery for the ages. The last thing that he'll do before he retires. So I'm really enjoying it. I will say I am listening to this while I read it, the audiobook on Libra form, and really enjoying the audiobook as well. It has a different narrator for each of the characters, which I think is really exciting. So Little Monsters, Adrienne Brodeur. This is out from Avid Reader Press, and you can get your hands on it right now. And then we're going to go from that type of family story to a dystopian family story, and that is Not Alone by Sarah K. Jackson. This is out from Doubleday. So this is a dystopian story, something I think you call it a microplastic storm, wipes out most of the population of the United States. There's no, or the world really, no infrastructure, no safe havens, none of that. Our main characters are Katie and Harry, a mother and son. Harry was actually born after the event occurred, but they have never left the little apartment condo that they have been in since this occurred. But what happens is Katie is starting to get ill, something that she can't recover from, and a stranger shows up, a menacing stranger, as the description goes, but it makes them believe maybe there are people outside of the apartment. So Katie actually decides to leave with Henry. Did I say that right? Harry, in search of her fiance who never came back when the storm hit. So it's going to be that dystopian, sort of that Road sort of story. The Road by Mr. McCarthy, may he rest in peace. But this is, for fans of Station 11 and stuff like that. Not Alone, Sarah K. Jackson, out from Doubleday. That cover is quite gorgeous, by the way. Let's just take a moment and enjoy that. But if you're looking for sort of a dystopian, thriller-esque type of thing, that may be your summer book. This book fascinates me, this one I'm about to tell you about. Because I love the idea of it, and I love the idea, it's something I think about often, and that's The Apartment by Ana Menendez. This is out from Counterpoint Press. So this is about an apartment building in South Beach, Florida. Is it Miami Beach? Hold on, let me make sure. South Miami Beach, Florida. That makes sense. That makes more sense. And it's all about the people that live in apartment 2B, like the different people who have occupied that space and how their energy is affecting the newest tenant. And I believe her name is Alana, a mysterious woman struggling with her own past. So we have the past of the apartment, all of the different types of people who have lived in that space, and now we have Lana who is there and sort of that energy affecting her. I think it's such an interesting idea. Apartment buildings are so interesting in this thing that, it's space that you share with people that you probably will never meet, right? Because they live there before you or they will live there after you, but your essence is in a way inhabiting that space. So I think that sounds fantastic. So that's The Apartment by Ana Menendez. This is out from Counterpoint, taking place in South Beach, Miami, South Beach, right? Gosh, I have not been to Florida, so I get all of those places mixed up, but there you go. There you go. That sounds really fun. I think that one sounds really exciting. So out from Catapult, this cover, I don't know even what to figure out about it because it just my whole brain starts to just zone out when I look at it. And that's The Forbidden Territory of a Terrifying Woman by Molly Lynch. This is out from Catapult. This is the story of Ada. I believe she's from Montreal, but she currently lives in Michigan. She's a mother, she's a wife, and one night she just disappears. She disappears from sleeping next to her husband, and she's just gone. And her husband decides that he wants to go and find her before their son figures out what's going on. But we find out that there are a number of mothers that have gone missing, and there is this woods or this forest that she was magnetically drawn to, and trying to figure out if that has something to do with the disappearance. The FBI is involved, so the husband's trying to do this sort of casually to try to find it before his son knows, but there's so much more going on. So that's The Forbidden Territory of a Terrifying Woman by Molly Lynch, out from Catapult Books. That cover just makes my eyes go, but I think it sounds really, really fun. I talked about this book when it came in as a ARC, and that's Titanium Noir by Nick Harkaway. And I probably said that terribly, Nick. I am so sorry. And I think maybe I didn't even realize exactly what this book was about when I first talked about it. But it's a detective novel. We have a detective who usually is involved in weird detective situations, but he gets called to this murder, which he thinks is a little mundane. He doesn't really understand why he's been called there until he arrives and finds out that the victim is actually 7 feet tall, and though he looks 30, is actually 91. And he is a Titan, one of this dystopian near future society's genetically altered elites. And this then all of a sudden does become a case that Cal is supposed to investigate. It's sort of, now it has that sort of odd, weird angle. And we find out that there are not that many Titans out there, that there was a discovery of some sort of genetic therapy and all of that. I'm not going to dive too much into what the book says because I just think that sounds really fascinating. I thought when I read it the first time, maybe I sort of just said, oh, I think it's like a procedural. But now that I know of all this sort of weird genetic all of that sort of science fiction-y part of it, it just adds to the mystique of this very green book. So that's Titanium Noir by Nick Harkaway. Harkaway? That's what it is, Russell. It's Harkaway, right? That has to. It's Sunday, y'all. I'm tired. I apologize. But read Nick's book. I think that that's the takeaway there. This is a book that it's coming out from Knopf. I don't know why it was sent to me. It's not my normal thing, but it does sound fairly good. It is a chunkster if you are looking for your murder mystery thriller thing of the summer. And that's Killing Moon by Joe Nesbo. Now, Joe Nesbo, I have read, was it Snowman? Was that the name of the book I read by him? I know I've read a couple of his books, and the one that sticks in my head, I think, is called Snowman, so I apologize if that's not right. The Snowman, and it belongs in this series as well. So yes, I have read one of the books in this series. So we have two young women that go missing in Oslo. Their only connection is this party that they went to of this like real estate magnate. And one of them winds up being found killed, and then they sort of start to believe that the way that she's killed, that this will means that like this killer is back and that they will start seeing more murders like this. But the only person who can really investigate this is Harry Hole, who is the investigator from this series. But currently he has been fired for drinking, and he's in Los Angeles. He's drinking himself to death, and he's really like, nothing's going to get him back to Oslo. Really, nothing's going to get him back there until really this woman who has saved his life at one time is put in danger, and then he knows that he must return so he can track down this murderer. So if you are looking for a series if you're like a cop procedural detective person and you haven't read any of the Joe Nesbo books, which you probably have if that is your thing, but this is Killing Moon. I've read a couple, and I've read them like sporadically, so I don't read them in order, and they all work. I think it all goes together. You can read them individually. Of course, it always makes more sense if you read them in order, but this is Killing Moon by Joe Nesbo, and it's out now. And this pile is, I have 3 more. I know, this is a lot of books, but it is an exciting, exciting time. I've already talked about The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue out from Knopf. They sent me a finished copy, which I think is so pretty. This is the story of Rachel and her relationship with James. So they meet in a bookstore. And that's sort of like friendship at first sight. James invites Rachel to live with them. They run through the streets. I think they live in Cork, and sort of trying to live in this like bohemian lifestyle. And then one day Rachel falls in love with a married professor named Dr. Fred Byron, and or Brine, B-Y-R-N-E, however you say that. It's not Byron. So James helps Rachel set up this whole elaborate idea of this reading at this bookstore in order to bring him in. But guess what? Dr. Fred has his own ideas, and things don't go as planned. So that is The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue. I think a couple of people told me they read this already and really enjoyed it. So take their word for it, if not mine. And yeah, that's out from Knopf. Okay. 2 more. This one just arrived, and I am obsessed with this cover and the title. Actually, I'm obsessed. So The Vegan by Andrew Lipstein. This is out from FSG. I want to say thank you to FSG for sending this one to me. So this is a story of Herschel Cain. Now, he is soon to be like extremely wealthy. He has this machine learning thing that's about to take off and change his entire life. His offices are in Soho. Everything is going very, very well. But what's really, really on his mind is that he and his wife are going to throw this dinner party for all of their A-list investors. A-list investors. That was a hard thing for me to say. But unfortunately, the dinner doesn't go. It sort of putters out. It doesn't go where they expect it to be. So Herschel decides, for some reason, to do this prank that goes horrifically wrong. It just goes terribly wrong. And his whole world and life starts to fall apart around him. And it isn't until he finds and connects with a neighborhood dog that things start to sort of come back into focus. I have a feeling this is going to be very satirically, very dark humored, and I think it sounds really interesting. I'm always interested in those sort of life fall apart and then an odd object or person or being or something sort of redirects you and you figure it out. I want to know why it's called The Vegan, because I think that that has to have something to do with something, right? So that's The Vegan by Andrew Lipstein. This is out from FSG and you can get your hands on it as we speak. Last but not least, out from DoubleDay is Between Two Moons by Aisha, Abdel, Gawad, and I apologize, Aisha, if I said your name incorrectly. This takes place, so it's the holy month of Ramadan. We have twin sisters, Amira and Lena. They're about to graduate high school. They live in Brooklyn, and so they're on like this precipice of adulthood, and they have decided that this summer they're going to do everything to sort of test the limits, figure out who they are, while they still live under their parents' roof. But something happens. Their brother comes home mysteriously after a stint in prison. Okay, and so that sort of changes everything in the family. And then it says here, meanwhile, outside the family's apartment, a storm is brewing in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. A raid on a local business sparks a protest that brings the Arab community together, and a senseless act of violence threatens to tear it apart. Everyone's motives are called into question, and an alarming sense of disquiet pervades the neighborhood. With everything spiraling out of control, how are Amira and Lena to know whom they can trust? It's a family story. It's about the Arab community in this area. All of this sort of stuff. Islamic phobia, I believe, is sort of at the heart of it. And it's all about that and these two young girls and how they're going to sort of figure it all out. So that's Between Two Moons by Aisha, Abdel, Gawad, and this is out from DoubleDay. So this is too big of a stack for me to hold up here for y'all. It would fall over and crash, and I would be hurt, and you wouldn't want that. I hope you are all doing really, really well. Thank you so much for putting up with my sporadic uploads. I really do appreciate it. I hope that I can get a book or 2 or 3 or 4 on that TBR of yours. As always, if you're a Trin subscriber, I could not do this without you. If you are new to my channel, thank you so much for coming along. Hit subscribe, hit the bell, do everything you can. I really, really appreciate it. And as always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everyone.